wonderful Wednesday on the Right Team Podcast for From the Press Box, our daily review of local sports and more from our perspective right here in East Texas. I'm your host, David Weaver, and I'm joined as always by my partner in local sports talk and, well, I guess talk in general, Matt. We talk about things other than sports occasionally.
Sure we do.
But that is brother Matt Paul, who is coming with us live from the confines and of his lovely study there at Friendship Baptist Church in Marshall, which look, when we say Wednesday, that means a different thing for you guys in the pastoral game, right? I mean, Wednesdays are kind of a time to shine in your world over there, right?
Yes, sir. Without a doubt. Actually, some of my favorite days. I look forward to them just about as much as I do Sundays, if not more sometimes. So yeah, love Wednesdays for sure.
So much that goes on in our local churches on Wednesday evenings, and so Matt's right in the middle of all that. We do thank him as always for being with us here and taking some time out of his busy day. We're going to get right to it here as we go into our Beast Texas segment here on the program, which is brought to you by Stiles Electric, based right here in East Texas. With offices in Longview and Mount Pleasant, Stiles Electric has been providing dependable professional electrical work for over a quarter century here in East Texas and beyond. When experience matters, Stiles Electric delivers service that speaks for itself. Okay, we had some basketball last night, Matt, to get into here. Let's look at the girls here very quickly, kind of wrap them up. We do have kind of adopted a local team. We weren't really covering them all season until we got into the playoffs and saw just how really good they were. So, we're going to hitch our wagon to them, so to speak, as they have advanced to the state championship. Martins Mill doubles up late last night, 61-33. Very interesting little community there for basketball. We talked yesterday about how I believe they won 6 straight regional championships, going to the state tournament now in San Antonio. And congratulations to those girls over there. Just a really, really solid little basketball program, little community and school over there. And their boys are actually still playing as well.
Yeah, boys got a win over Beckville last night. I think they doubled up Beckville. I believe it was 64-32 to move to the regional final. And it just is like, and of course, you ran in baseball circles in this area the way I run in basketball circles. And my youngest son, who is both played basketball, but he was the basketball main sport player in the family. His freshman year, that was when I learned about Martins Mill. And so they are they've always been on my radar just for about how well run a program they are, how just basketball crazed that community is. And so I know they got designs on both boys and girls winning a state championship.
Yeah, and you can see they fill out their gyms when they show up, and so the town pretty much shuts down during basketball season, particularly this time of basketball season. Well, again, it's state tournament time. So congratulations to Martins Mill. They are headed to the girls UIL state championship game, and most likely have a really good shot to have their boys join them here in a week or so. Let's switch over to the boys now. They are, of course, in their region semifinal round. They completed that last night in our area and kind of took a licking here in East Texas in the regional semifinals. Had several teams involved in that, actually 10 by our count that we were covering and following here. We'll start in 4A D2 Region 2. The Athens Hornets took their only 5th loss of the season last night in a region semifinal matchup against Dallas Carter. The Cowboys come away with a 68-26 win over Athens in that matchup. A little bit surprising there just based on the records. I believe Carter had 12 losses, but of course we're talking about DFW area and probably scheduling and things like that. But tough loss for Athens last night and an otherwise really banner season for them.
Yeah, and when you're at this point, any season that ends at this point still got to be considered a very, very successful one. And so, well,
I've mentioned this before in any sport, and I really believe this. You can really be proud of what you've done if your season ends in anything that says finals or semifinals. Just be proud of getting that far because, like we said, you're down to basically the final 4 of your region, and you just look at all the teams in your region. That's pretty impressive. So
Yeah.
congratulations to Athens on a really fine season as well. On the other side of the bracket, Chapel Hill goes down 63-56. Matt, I know you saw Chapel Hill in action. Does that loss to Kennedale surprise you a little bit?
Not when I found out that Kennedale's the defending state champion. In fact, it looked like they were pretty competitive with them. I would not call that one a shocker.
3AD1 Region 2, particularly here in our tight local circle, the Jefferson Bulldogs go down to defeat at the hands of Dallas Madison, 73-58. The Dallas school knocks off the Bulldogs and ends their season at 30-4. I know that's a tough loss for Coach Ty Taylor and his bunch over there in Jefferson.
Well, and we did mention, of course, you never know exactly how those rankings, how accurate they are. But we did mention Dallas Madison was ranked number 1 in the state for 3A. So just by the rankings, it's hard to call that one a stunner. But yeah, great season for Jefferson. Hate to see it end that way, but still, that's nothing to hang your head about there.
Was really hoping for that all-local regional final.
I know, me too.
We won't get that, unfortunately. But Liberty-Eylau did their part as they raced past Lono 81-34. Which sets up a really, really entertaining region final between Dallas Madison, as you said, ranked number 1 in the state, and Liberty-Eylau, who you have seen with your own eyes.
Yeah,
I believe are a believer in, right?
Yeah, they're very, very good, talented, tall, long, athletic, fast, strong. I mean, they've got it all. But of course, we only see so much in East Texas. You never know. I know if that Dallas Madison team can handle Jefferson by 15, they've got a lot working for them. So anxious to see how that one goes.
3AD2 again in Region 2, Edgewood goes down 54-51 at the hands of Leonard, and on the other side of that bracket, Hooks is ousted from the playoffs with a 44-29 loss to Paradise, and so our local teams here in our region have gone down in the 3AD2 bracket, and you'll have Leonard and Paradise going at each other for the region championship later this week.
Yeah. Don't know much about either of those.
Yeah, me either. We'll move on here to 2AD1 Region 3. Hawkins, who, again, I saw Friday night play pretty well against Elysian Fields, took care of business on Monday night, 62-50 over Cayuga. They punched their ticket to the region final, and they will be facing San Augustine, which knocked off Lovelady by 10, 66-56. So give credit down there to San Augustine, as they have sent both their girls and their boys team now to the region final. See if the boys team can make it to the state semifinals here. The girls, of course, ran into a buzzsaw in their final matchup the other night. But San Augustine boys now have their opportunity against Hawkins coming up later this week.
Yeah.
2AD2 Region 3 to close out the boys here. Again, we talked about Martins Mill, and you mentioned it. They did double up Beckville exactly 64-32 on Tuesday night to advance to the region final there in 2AD2. They will face Shirano, which knocked off the Pointer 58-52 in the other region semifinal. So you have Martins Mill and Shirano going at each other with one of those local teams that we talk about here on the Right Team podcast, moving on to the state championship, or actually the state semifinals. So that's your boys' side here on this Wednesday after a busy action last night, Matt. I had to wait till this morning to actually fill out the scores on our Facebook page because Max Preps was slow and Facebook was slow actually posting scores. And so did a little bit more digging for these things, but actually was able to get them updated. So all the scores and the upcoming schedules and things will be up on our Facebook page, hopefully by the end of today.
Yeah, at this level, Matt Stepp on Dave Campbell, Texas Football on Twitter. I found all the scores late last night. Of course, I was out at a baseball game, so I was up way later than I would normally be, but hopped on Twitter late last night before I went to bed, and he had all the scores posted. So when we reach this point, at least we know we can find it there. And I will tell you, I would trust Matt Stepp on Twitter way more than whatever Max Preps has to say.
Yeah, he's way hooked in. And it's not just football. Even though he is Dave Campbell's Texas football, Matt Stepp knows everyone in the state in high school athletics. That is for sure. So speaking of baseball, we will move on here now. I want to go into a little bit more of a detailed presentation of what's going on in baseball since district action has started in baseball.
Yeah.
Of course, softball, again, is a little bit ahead in their schedule. And we'll get to them here again in just a minute. But I did want to point out a few things from locally that I saw just kind of perusing the district standings that are available. If you want to go check them out on your own, they're available on the Texas High School Baseball and Texas High School Softball websites. And so you can check them out there. They do a really good job of keeping up to date with actual scores for the most part, and district standings and things of that nature. So I would encourage you to go check out their website. But that is kind of the information here that we're relaying and kind of going by here to talk about. Starting, of course, in the 6A ranks, our 10 6A clubs in the area, Longview and Legacy out of Tyler. Well, Longview's had a rough start to the season, Matt. Going into yesterday's action, they were 0-8 on the season. The Lobos having a tough first year under Coach Robert Ellis over there in his first season with the Lobos. Pretty good coach over there, if you don't know who Coach Ellis is, but he's going to get that program turned around, I really believe. But, man, they've had a rough couple of years in Longview on the baseball field. Tyler Legacy actually went into yesterday's action with a 7-3-2 mark on the season, so a little bit better there for the Raiders. But, they play in a really, really tough baseball district there against Rockwall Heath and Rockwall and the Forney schools, and it's really tough to make headway in that particular league.
Yeah, actually had our first installment of our Maverick Baseball Weekly with Coach Jackson Hood. And this is our first coaches show, so we've been going back and recapping the whole season, which, of course, Marshall started the season with a win over Longview. Talking with him, he mentioned Coach Ellis first year and kind of a rebuild. So, yeah, that's there is a little bit of a journey there to get back on track.
District 10 5A, you did mention Marshall. They opened up their district slate last night with a tough one. They went on the road and lost at White House 10-0. And so the Mavs have started their district play as long as everybody else. Some other scores from around the district. Texas High eases past Tyler High 20-3. Tyler High not known for their baseball, Matt, and it shows up every spring. Every now and then you'll see them get somebody in there that can make them somewhat competitive, but it wasn't last night against Texas High as the Tigers raced to a 17-run win in that one. Mount Pleasant shuts out Nacogdoches 9-0. Lufkin also takes down Jacksonville 10-0. So 3 shutouts in the openers of district play last night in 10-5A. Hallsville was off on Tuesday, and they will actually be hosting their annual tournament here at Bobcat Field, which we call the ballpark in Hallsville. The annual Wright Builders Classic this weekend here in Hallsville will be taking place. Some tournament action going on locally. Any thoughts from that Maverick game last night against White House? Oh, looks like Matt's frozen up on us here. We'll see if we can't get him back online. I'll continue to go down here through the scores and some of the facts coming out from the baseball side of the ledger here. As again, some districts started their baseball schedules last night. There are others who will probably be either Friday or another week or so before they dive into league play. One thing coming out of District 14 4A, they have not started their district play, but Pleasant Grove is 10-2 on the season. Of course, ranked number 2 in the state are the Hawks. There we have Matt back with us. Having switched to your phone there, Matt, internet troubles at the church.
Yep. Whatever.
I was going to get you to comment on the White House Marshall game. I know KMHT carried that one live. Any takeaways from that one that you saw in that particular matchup?
Yeah, White House. They're a perennial playoff team. I know you know that. With having followed Hallsville. They are. Ooh.
We got 2 screens now going on. We've got you doubled up. We'll wait for Matt to get back online here with us. It's always best for him to actually record on his laptop because that then allows him to kind of pull up his own notes for the show and everything. When he has to go to his phone, of course, that wipes all of that out. So we'll just wait for him to be able to work through that. And it looks like now you're back with us. There you go.
Yeah, whatever. No,
saying?
White House, very, very strong. Really good hitting team, good base running team. Did a lot of little things that Marshall didn't do. I will tell you, I don't know if you've noticed this going to White House. It is the windiest place to watch a baseball game I've ever seen.
It is wide open over there, and nothing but wind comes through it.
And so you can tell their fielders know how to play a fly ball much better than ours do. They're used to it. And so there were a couple missed plays. A game that could have been a 4 or 5 run game ballooned quickly. Mavs had base runners in every inning, had multiple base runners in 4 of the 5 innings and didn't score. So I didn't have that timely hit. I don't think that score was maybe as indicative of how competitive the game was, but at the same time, there was no doubt who the better team was.
Yeah, man, I could tell you on a whole podcast some old stories. Hallsville playing White House back in the day, and you talk about rivalries. Yeah, it was. I don't know how it is now because I'm not that close to the inner workings of the programs necessarily, but back in the day, man, you had 2 programs that really didn't like each other. I mean, I'll just put it that way. And so that always leads, when you're both competitive, that leads to some really exciting baseball. And we had some fun with that back in the day.
Yeah.
So I was mentioning while you were off the air that Pleasant Grove in District 14-4A is 10-2. Of course, they're ranked number 2 in the state in the Texas High School Baseball Top 25. In District 16-4A, they started their district schedule last night, giving you some scores here locally from around the area. Carthage shuts out Kilgore 3-0. Chapel Hill knocks off Pine Tree in a good baseball game, 3-2. Spring Hill defeated Gilmer 12-2, and then Henderson knocks off Cumberland Academy 12-0. 3 of those teams I know, Spring Hill, Chapel Hill, and Carthage, are actually state ranked in the top 25, and so they all open district play with big wins on Tuesday night. District 13-3A, the big note from there is that Mount Pleasant Chapel Hill is 11-0. Again, they have not started their district slate yet, but a good start there for Chapel Hill from the smaller school up in Mount Pleasant area. District 14-3A from our area, again, they started their district slate last night with Atlanta defeating Kilgore, or DeKalb rather, 10-2. Liberty-Eylau. And I got to do some research on this because I don't know if this is a misprint on the website or not when I mention this score to you, but it's like that on both team schedules, so they're sticking with it on the site. But according to this, Liberty-Eylau defeats Queen City Tuesday night 39-1.
Woo, man,
that's one of those that, of course, a 5-inning game, I'm assuming, and so you just do the math on that. That's an average of almost 8 runs an inning in 5 innings for Liberty-Eylau. Now, if that score is correct, big win for the Leopards over Queen City in that one.
And if it's on both schedules, you got to.
It is on both schedules, and again,
that's confirmation.
The Texas High School baseball site does a really good job. It's got everyone's schedules, and it has their schedules laid out with their results throughout the year. And both on the Queen City and the Liberty-Eylau side, it was the same score. So, it's a big one there. Talking about run differential, the Leopards jumped out in the district race in run differential. Hook stepped out of district play last night. They took on non-district foe from Arkansas, Nashville, Arkansas, and Hooks defeated them 7-5. The other district game in 14-3A was Redwater over New Boston, 11-4. Skipping down to District 19-2A here, and just a note here to talk about the Elysian Fields Yellow Jackets. They are 6-2 on the year, with most of those games coming in 2 home tournaments that they've played over the last 2 weekends. The Kip Lewis Memorial Tournament a couple of weeks ago, and then, of course, the Brandon Goying tournament, Memorial Tournament this past weekend there in EF. And so they have ventured out into just regular non-district play on this past Tuesday evening, and they got a 10-2 win over North DeSoto from out of Louisiana. So the Jackets are 6-2 there, have not started that district play yet in 19-2A.
Good deal.
Let's move down into the softball side of things here. And in District 10-6A, Longview played New Diana last night, which is kind of you talk about cross.
There's a gap there.
Not just a big gap in size, but Lady Lobos come away with a 24-12 win over the Lady Eagles. And so
Wow.
shout out to New Diana for putting 12 runs on the board. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Longview improves to 9-6 overall. That was, of course, a non-district matchup for them. And then Legacy actually fell to 9-6 on the season with a 10-1 loss to Rockwall Heath in district play. Now, let's get into 10-5A. Again, KMHT was on hand to broadcast the Lufkin and Marshall matchup. Pretty good game there, Matt. According to the final score here, the Panthers come away with a 4-3 win over the Lady Mavs, but some pretty good softball there being played on the airwaves there for you guys at KMHT.
Yeah, and really a heartbreaker. You know, Marshall's softball has been making strides over the last couple of years under Coach Kelly Fay, and they're poised for a breakthrough, and I thought it was about to happen last night. Lufkin had a no-hitter through 4 innings, I believe, but Marshall's pitching was pretty good too. It was 2-0, Lufkin leading. Marshall scores 3 in the top of the 6th to go up 3-2, and it stays that way going into the bottom of the 7th. Lufkin has bases loaded with 2 outs, and a misplayed ball in the outfield that should have been out 3 is dropped and 2 runs scored, and that's how Lufkin won that game. So a heartbreaker for the Lady Mavs.
Well, yeah, that is a heartbreaker for sure. I'll tell you what, though, and I'm gonna put on my Mav alumni hat here a little bit and say that I'm so proud of the facilities that Marshall has for their spring sports in particular. If you've never been to Marshall High School and driven up Maverick Drive, you can see, of course, a renovated Maverick Stadium there on your left. But then you get up to the top of the hill, man, and you get to look down. You got that beautiful softball facility there across the street, the baseball field, all of them turfed. And just a great place to watch high school baseball or softball. Of course, you know, the big feature there, the pavilion that sits right in the middle of all of it, that just kind of towers over the outfield fence there at the softball field. Just a beautiful, beautiful place to watch a ball game there. And that'll be interesting to see when Lufkin comes to Marshall in the rematch, how that one goes down for sure.
Well, and Marshall doesn't really have time to hang their heads. They are at White House Friday night. So another quick turnaround, another tough opponent. So we'll see if they're able to bounce back.
White House did slip away to a 6-5 win over Mount Pleasant on Tuesday. So the Lady Cats there pull out a win over the Lady Tigers.
And that we were watching the scoreboard. Mount Pleasant was ahead 5-3 going in the 7th inning, and White House scored 2 and then scored 1 in the 8th to win it. So a couple of crazy comebacks at home for teams.
Yeah, it's going to be, if you earn one of those 4 playoff spots in that district in softball, you're going to really earn one, right?
No doubt.
There's going to be a good team that stays home because they can't break through into that top 4. It's going to be tough. Speaking of tough, Texas High knocks off Nacogdoches in the other district contest, 16-2 there. Hallsville, which is by and large probably the prohibitive favorite in the district, had the night off from district play. The Lady Cats, of course, are ranked 8th in the state in the top 25. They are 11-4-1 on the season. They did get a district win last week, and so the only 3 remaining undefeated teams in the district currently going out of Tuesday's action are White House, Lufkin, and Hallsville, with White House, Lufkin both being 2-0. Hallsville is 1-0. District 16 4A softball scores here. Carthage defeated Gilmer 9-0. Carthage improved to 15-5 on the season. They are 1-0 in district play. Spring Hill knocked off Pine Tree 4-2. The Lady Panthers are now 17-5 on the season. They are 1-0 in district play. And then the couple of the other games here, Henderson defeated Chapel Hill 17-1, and Pleasant Grove defeated Kilgore 9-0. To drop, according to the standings there, Kilgore is now 0-20 on the season.
Wow.
Looking to break through with that first win. Before we close out our softball section here in our Beast Texas segment of the show, again, sponsored by Styles Electric. District 19 2A, just some scores for you here. Harleton defeated Carlisle Tuesday night 14-2. The district opener for both teams. Overton defeats Elysian Fields 10-2. Elysian Fields dropped to 11-9-1 on the season with that loss. And then Union Grove defeats Wascom 15-5. So that is 19-2A softball results from Tuesday.
Very good.
Let's move on now to our on-campus segment of the show here, which is brought to you by East Texas Baptist University, combining strong academics with championship-level athletics and a Christ-centered mission that impacts every part of campus life. If you're looking for a university that values faith, competition, and community, ETBU is the place for you. Learn more about life on the Hill in Marshall, Texas at www.etbu.edu. NCAA men's top 25 and women's top 25, of course, were in action last night for sure. And Matt, of course, just as a reminder, program reminder, will be unveiling his updated, after tonight's action, his updated back row bracketology on tomorrow's show. So you want to be tuning in for that for sure. And then, of course, again, coming up on Monday, we'll get a first look at his actual bracket, where he is actually sending teams via his NCAA budget that he's having there to send. Did you see the memo that got sent out? I know you probably didn't see the memo, but there was a memo sent out from the NCAA to all Division I basketball schools, kind of giving them a heads up on travel plans and potential issues with schedules and things like that. It could be hampered by what's going on in the world overseas.
I did not see that.
Yeah, there's going to be look, they'll find a way to get there. And for folks that don't know, when you make an NCAA tournament at any level, the NCAA pays for your travel, and that includes D3 and everything. That's the cool thing about being a member of the NCAA, and that includes the Division I basketball tournaments. And so they're going to have to find a way to get all of these teams to their respective places. And again, they just kind of sent out I wouldn't call it a warning memo. It was just more of a, just be aware that there could be some travel delays and things of that nature coming up because of, again, what's happening over in the Middle East. But Matt, after all the action last night, just kind of give us your rundown, a little bit of a sneak preview, if you will, on where, what we might be looking at when you unveil your bracketology tomorrow.
Well, there were some movers and shakers last night. Probably the biggest there were 4 teams that were either they were all in the tournament as in my bracket heading into this week, but I don't know that I would have called them securely in the tournament. But Georgia gets a big win over Alabama, UCLA a dominating win over Nebraska, TCU on the road against Texas Tech gets a win, and then Texas A&M takes care of Kentucky at home. In a year where there's such, we talk about the soft bubble or how many teams are going to get in, those 4 wins might have just been enough to say, okay, those teams are in now. That might have been enough to do it. I don't know. I don't want to say 100% for sure, but those were the biggest wins. The other big win of the evening was Cincinnati, a team left for dead a month ago. They get another big win over BYU. They're a team that's now sitting there with wins over Iowa State, BYU, and a road win over Kansas. Not to mention they now have a winning record in the Big 12. They're 9-8 in the Big 12. That should go a long way. So Cincinnati's trying to make some moves. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Surprising losses, a little bit surprising. San Diego State's on the cut line there. They lost at Boise last night. It's not necessarily a bad loss, but it could have been a good win. Central Florida, a team that I kind of thought was securely in, they just lost last night at home against Oklahoma State. After this weekend, they lost at home against Baylor. Not a good look to be losing 2 home games in games you probably should have won. So I still think they're okay because of the soft bubble, but they want to be careful there for sure. But other than that, good win by North Carolina over Clemson. North Carolina trying to sniff a 5 seed. How about Arizona State thumping Kansas last night?
Something's wrong at Kansas right now. Something's wrong at Kansas right now. I would not be putting a whole lot of stock in my bracket in the next couple of weeks on the Jayhawks. Currently, there's something going on that's got to get with my Jayhawk buddies over here and just see what's going on. They would have some inside scoop for us, but they don't look right. I don't know if it's the Darren Peterson thing or I don't know. They have the look of a team that's got some internal things going on that is now affecting them on the court.
Yeah, and I don't really know what it was either, but I just know Yeah. I
I
know
mean,
they
I would say if they end up, and I believe you had them at a 5 seed in your on Monday.
I got them at a 4. I got Kansas as a 4.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to go out on a limb in here and say of the four 4 seeds at that point, if that's what they end up being, then they would probably be the one that you could say, okay, I'm going to pinpoint that one as for my 13-4 upset.
Right. Yeah. No,
Because right now they're just not playing well at all.
No, they're not.
I want to add this here, and I don't think you mentioned it, but your boys from Miami, Ohio, man, they just keep winning.
They keep finding their ways, man.
You know, they knocked off Toledo last night, which, 10-7 in the MAC, 16-14 overall. And Miami of Ohio is at home. They squeezed by them there, 74-72. But hey, all you got to do is win, baby, right? 30-0.
Yeah.
30-0. That's impressive. Are they in, or do they have to win their conference tournament to get in?
I feel like they're in. Now, look, if they lose their finale and then lose in the first round of the MAC tournament, it's going to be dicey. If they win and go 31-0 in the regular season, they got one more regular season game and then move on into the MAC tournament. I just don't know how the tournament committee is going to look at a team that's 31-0, even if they lose in the first round, and say, sorry, you had your one hiccup, you're out. Just can't see them doing it. Like I said, if they lose this last one and then lose in the first or second round of the MAC tournament, maybe we could see it. But I feel like they're pretty safe. But if they win Saturday, I think it's Saturday. It's either Friday or Saturday they play. If they win there, I think they're locked in. I think it's done.
Right. Okay. Let's stay in the college ranks and kind of shift to some college baseball, which you and I have been kind of texting back and forth. There is a wave right now going through college baseball that's kind of crazy, and I kind of want to think that it's got to have something to do with the fact that it's still early. Teams are kind of trying to figure out, particularly on these midweek games, who's going to be their midweek starters, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't ever recall, just off the top of my head, which is always dangerous, but I don't ever recall this level of just every single night, particularly in the midweek over the last couple of weeks, this many upsets. And we're talking about upsets of number 2 ranked LSU at home, which is, by the way, my backdrop here. Shout out to the Tigers. They're in Alex Box. Getting beat by Northeastern, which, if you do a little bit more of a deeper dive on Northeast, that's not a bad college baseball program.
They're good, man.
They won 25 games in a row last year. And so on its surface, that was a surprise. But, you kind of look through some of these scores that took place, particularly last night, and, there's something going on in college baseball. Look, I don't know if it's NIL. I don't know what is taking place, but it's almost, you got to be really careful who you schedule now in midweek.
You do.
Those aren't walkthroughs.
No, they're not. And and some people want to say, I hear it a lot of time, that's baseball, and it is. But look, I don't know that we're going to have a listener that follows Arkansas baseball like I do. And in the last 2 decades, by and large, we've been one of the top 5, for sure, top 10 programs in the country. Probably the best program without a national title right now. And typical year, maybe once in the non-conference play do we get tripped up by somebody. A little somebody gets you. This year we've already lost to Arkansas State and UT Arlington. Now, split the series with Arkansas State, 1, 2 out of 3 from UT Arlington. It's not the worst thing in the world. Not to mention the fact that Arkansas State just beat Louisiana Tech, and they're 10-3 on the season. So apparently they ain't too bad. But you've always got those schools that you don't think of as powers that actually are in baseball. Your son went to one of them. Nobody would think Dallas Baptist. Dallas Baptist is one heck of a college, Division I college baseball program. There are other Louisiana Tech, I just mentioned him, is a pretty solid one. Southern Miss, who just beat Mississippi State last night. Well, that wasn't that big an upset. Southern Miss, number 10 in the nation. But I'm not talking about those kind of games. I'm talking about teams like Georgia State beating Georgia Tech. I'm talking about last night, Central Arkansas beating Vanderbilt. There are some programs little ones that you don't hear very much about, that are making some noise now. And so it has been really interesting. UT Arlington's one of those. They've only got like 4 wins on the season. Well, 2 of them are TCU and Arkansas.
Right.
So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you do have, coming out of last night's action, you do still have 2 undefeated teams in the country in Division I. One of those being USC, and then, of course, the other one being who? My Texas Longhorns.
Right.
They improved to 12-0 last night with a 16-3 win over Houston Christian. Not really a that's not exactly an Omaha preview of that. Houston Christian's in the Southland Conference, 6-7 on the year, but the Horns are ranked 3rd in the country. Most likely will move up to at least number 2, I would think, with LSU's loss the other night. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, other than those 2, pretty much every other big-time college program has suffered I don't want to say a humiliating loss, because I don't think there are in college baseball anymore. But I mean, look, when you have Charlotte knocking off Virginia 14-0 on a Tuesday, something's in the air, man. I mean, something is in the air, and I'm here for it as long as it stays away from my Horns. Right, I'm here for it. Give me that any time kind of excitement and upset potential.
Well, and we are just a little over a week away from the opening of conference play. And just to let you know about some of the SEC matchups, number 22 Texas A&M opens at number 12 Oklahoma. You've also got number 19 Tennessee at number 11 Georgia. And how about this for an SEC opener? Number 4 Mississippi State at number 6 Arkansas. The SEC is going to be must-watch TV every weekend when conference play starts.
Yeah, so if you don't have ESPN Plus, you might want to grab that, because you're going to be missing some really good baseball at the college level coming up here in the next few weeks.
Especially because, as we said, you might want to familiarize yourself with some college baseball. Because after this year, it might be all you got. So at least for a while.
Okay, let's move over to the softball ranks in the NCAA. Again, some good stuff going on there as well. Pull up the scores that I've got here. Let's first take a look at the rankings, the updated rankings by D1 Softball and ESPN.com. Of course, the number 1 team in the country is Tennessee at 19-0, and then you got Texas Tech ranked number 2. Defending national champ Texas comes in at number 3. Right behind them is their rival Oklahoma at number 4, and then rounding out the top 5, Nebraska slips in there at 14-5. Again, top 25 heavily dominated by SEC schools, which really isn't that surprising. I mean, it's D1 college softball. Everyone's got good players for the most part, and I'm just going to tell you, there is an advantage living in the South when it comes to the spring sports, of course, because up north, especially here over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I mean, you're covered in snow. I mean, there's not a whole lot of work you can do indoors that's going to help you when you go on the road to play at Texas or someplace like that. You're going to be behind. And that's kind of what you see in the SEC. They have a built-in advantage just because of location, in my opinion. And you see it at all levels. I saw it when I was at ETBU. I mean, you had the opportunity to get off to a pretty good start, and a lot of the northern teams actually look to come down just so they can get games in, but they don't get a whole lot of practice out on the field. Anyway. And some of the games last night in the top 25, there doesn't seem to be that, the virus that's plaguing on the upset part of baseball hasn't seemed to hit softball. You got Tennessee playing last night. They held serve against Belmont with a 1-0 win. Oklahoma goes on the road to play North Texas, and comes away with a 16-4 win. We talked about them well on pace to setting another national home run record. So the Sooners have another really good ball club, obviously, in place. And so Yeah, man. I mean, there's all kinds of softball action going on at the D1 level, and that's another sport that has just exploded in popularity here over the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And I do want to at some point. I would love to go up to Oklahoma City, and if I can withstand the stink of crossing the border, and go watch a women's college World Series up there, because that is some really really good stuff going on.
Yeah. Very
Then maybe
fun.
just keep going north. Just keep going north to Omaha and make it a real vacation when I retire.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the dream right there, man.
Yes, it is. But that's going to close out our on-campus segment of the show today. Again, we want to thank East Texas Baptist University right here in Marshall, Texas, for helping us out with that as a sponsor for the segment. Let's move on to the back page section today of the show, which is sponsored by Right Team Services. Right Team Services helps schools, small businesses, and nonprofits turn ideas into impact through effective writing, clear messaging, and meaningful connection across your websites and social media platforms. When you need results but don't quite have the words to say, let Right Team Services provide the voice you need. Contact me today at 903-926-1766, or you can visit our website at www.rightteamservices.net to learn more about how we can help you tell your story. Okay, about you got for us on the back page here, Matt. We were kind of going back and forth in our notes last night. I think I scared you. I either stepped on some things you were thinking about talking about, but I'm anxious to see now what you were able to scramble around and find for us for the back page.
Actually, most of mine came from today. One, I'm sure you just saw the breaking news, or maybe didn't. I don't know. Adam Schefter just said the Cowboys have officially, this just came while we were on the podcast, have officially restructured the contracts of Dak Prescott and Tyler Smith to create $47 million in cap room, and they are still expected to restructure CeeDee Lamb's contract to help get cap compliant. So just a bit of breaking news that popped off
I
there.
heard something about that. Let me just jump in there real quick.
Yeah,
that sounds like a lot of money, but the Cowboys are like almost 67 million over the cap.
Yep.
And so I believe they're working now to actually get into the positive part of that. And I believe if they were to redo everything that you said that's breaking across right now, that would get them to about 10 to 12 above the cap. And of course, they're trying to obviously get more than that. So they've got a lot more work to do before free agency opens next week.
Yep, they do. But my back page things, saw a cool thing here, and this is a Texas team. The San Antonio Spurs swept all 4 Western Conference monthly awards for February. Victor Wembanyama won Player of the Month and Defensive Player of the Month. Dylan Harper won Rookie of the Month, and Mitch Johnson won Coach of the Month. While Defensive Player of the Month is only in its second season, this is just the third time since 1982-83, when Coach of the Month began, that a team has won player, rookie, and coach honors in the same month. It's the first time it's ever happened in the Western Conference. Previous times were in April of 2013, the New York Knicks, in January of 2007, the Toronto Raptors. So the Spurs are for real, man. They are NBA title contenders, bona fide, and boy, all 4 Western Conference monthly awards for the month of February. Thought that was interesting.
A ping pong ball of getting Cooper Flag.
Yep. They were. Second thing, and I don't know if you saw this, but I thought this was, and of course I got it because it involves the Arkansas Razorbacks, but Arkansas and Tyson Foods have struck a major deal. CBS Sports reporting Arkansas may have landed one of the sport's most aggressive new models, a corporate sponsorship designed primarily to pay players. The Razorbacks and Tyson Foods have entered into a sweeping 5-year partnership that will place the company's logo on the jerseys of all 19 Arkansas teams beginning in the 26-27 academic year. But branding is only part of the story. Roughly 90% of the money generated by the deal is expected to flow directly to Arkansas athletes through name, image, and likeness opportunities with the company. This broken by Brandon Marcello. It is, as near as I can tell, one of, if not the first, corporate sponsorship that is designed primarily to pay players. And so, of course, Tyson Foods played a major role in getting John Calipari to Arkansas. But I tell you, I follow a lot of Arkansas media people online. My Twitter feed was just this all morning long, that
Yeah.
a corporate sponsorship, 90% of it going to NIL.
And hey, shout out to your folks up there, man. That's how you got to do it in today's world. And I mean, as much as anybody in the country, Arkansas does have those resources if they can tap into them.
We were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah, the other day, and it's not just Tyson. It's you've got the Waltons, Walmart, and everything right up there, right around.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones, who already gives to the university to a certain extent. So good stuff there. Hope it doesn't translate much into wins, but at least from my perspective. Okay, so some things here that I wanted to point out on my back page here from the last day or so. I did want to point out one thing that I don't have on our notes, Matt, that I just saw on Twitter that I thought was kind of interesting. Texas Rangers fans will remember this. He was a former Ranger, and of course, he played for the Yankees as well. Mark Teixeira. He was kind of like the Herschel Walker trade for the Rangers. They traded him away to the Braves, and they got Elvis Andrews, they got Matt Harrison, some guys who were stalwarts of their World Series teams, obviously.
Yeah.
But he is now going into politics. He won his GOP primary race here in Texas yesterday, so he'll be on the November ballot to go be a congressman. So
there you go.
Out of the frying pan into the fire, so to speak, for him. So congratulations to Tex on that.
Yep.
Now, what I did have here to plan on discussing here, of course, just wanted to make mention, you probably know this, but Kyler Murray, the Kyler Murray era is done in Arizona. He is officially a free agent. They informed him yesterday that they would be releasing him when the new league year started, and that he's going to be a free agent. And I kind of wanted to see what you thought about this. Of course, folks in Texas know who Kyler Murray is. I mean, we know folks in Oklahoma know him for sure. But was a standout high school player at Allen. And, it was funny when Coach Claude Mathis was in Marshall, and I was actually there as well. We would talk about, but Kyler Murray delayed DeSoto's rise in the Texas 5A ranks directly, because when he was the quarterback at Allen, DeSoto could not get past him in the playoffs. And it's kind of funny. I only brought him up a couple of times around Claude because Coach Mathis, even then, didn't want to talk about it a whole lot because he was just tired. He got tired of facing Kyler Murray and the Allen Eagles. But it kind of surprises me that the Cardinals, they're just letting him go. And they don't really have anyone waiting in the wings to replace him. And something's going on that they've seen that they're just ready to cut ties, and they're obviously going to do it. He's already guaranteed to make almost $37 million next year. This year. So he's not really going to be hurting.
No.
But somebody's going to pick him up. He's still talented enough, but I think it's come down to this thing for him. He's gotten a little bit older. His game was what it was, a mobile quarterback who needed to really get out of the pocket to be effective. And when you keep him in the pocket, he's is he 6 foot? I don't know if he is 6 feet.
I don't think he is.
So it'll be interesting to see where he lands at all. If he's going to land somewhere, somebody's going to take a flyer on him, but he's going to be out there and he's a free agent. So throw him into the free agent mix as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Obviously a heck of a talent, and it started out pretty, with Kingsbury, it started out pretty nice at Arizona, but it just, and some of it is, you and I've talked about this with a lot of players. Some of it's just where you land. And it just, I don't know how much Arizona's lack of whatever really played a role for him. But at the end of the day, this thing has felt like it's not working out for a few years now. And so even though I don't know what their plan is, it's not as if I'm sitting here saying, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? You cut Kyler Murray or you let him go? I don't feel that way at all.
Yeah. Part of it's money. He would have been guaranteed another 19.5 million if he was on the roster on March 16th for next year. And so that's part of why they're cutting him right now. But now they immediately jump into one of those teams that is looking for a quarterback. They're drafting high in the draft. Who's going to be there for them? Are they the guy that reaches and takes someone like a Ty Simpson? Do they try to get up and make a deal to go get Fernando Mendoza, which I think is highly unlikely? But I mean, now they need a quarterback. So
they do.
Those typically are desperate on draft night if they don't find who they want in free agency. And they may have just sent the best quarterback in free agency out there. So it'll be interesting to see how the Cardinals respond to this to fill that position. I know they're not going to hand the job to Jacoby Brissett. They can't do that.
Yeah.
Moving on to baseball here, again, some big news that dropped yesterday, but the Brave Jurickson Profar tested positive again. I didn't realize he'd failed the test before until I read this again. It reminded me, but he was banned for the entire season by Major League Baseball for testing positive for a performance-enhancing drug, specifically exogenous testosterone and its metabolites. And I couldn't find anything in this story where he says, he's taking exception to this and anything, although he does intend to file a grievance. But look, man, fool me once, one time, fool me twice. It's that kind of deal.
Yeah.
He was suspended at the start of 2025 for 80 games. So this is back-to-back years that he's received a suspension.
Yeah.
You're not going to slip those things by now in baseball. You're just not going to do it. And why you keep trying to do it, Jurickson, of course, for a while, of course, came up with the Rangers. He was the #1 prospect in baseball, and they traded him to Oakland, and the rest is history for him. So he just kind of bounced around a little bit. He's 33 years old this year, but he'll be sitting out in 162 games.
And then probably won't be playing the next year either.
Based on his record right now, he's on. He's going to go for the strike three next year. I don't know what the suspension is for that, but you just can't do that anymore. I mean, players and ownership are united on that. And why you would risk it knowing you're going to spring training and the first thing they're going to do is test you. That's not very smart.
Doesn't make any sense.
Okay, and finally here to close out the back page for us today, we got into a little bit of discussion yesterday about how the SEC coaches were ranked, and I kind of wanted to follow up on that because their SEC quarterbacks came out by CBS Sports College Football. This was in a tweet yesterday, and they ranked the quarterbacks here. Kind of wanted to run these down and just kind of see what you think about them as well. Of course, #1 is Arch Manning at the University of Texas. I agree with that 150%. Kind of interesting at #2 because of everything that's up in the air, but they have Ole Miss's Trinidad Chambliss as ranked #2, who technically is not even eligible to play for Ole Miss right now.
Yeah. I mean,
do they know something we don't know at CBS Sports?
I don't know. I can't even keep straight. I feel like he's been declared eligible and ineligible all like multiple times. I don't know. I do think that regardless of, I mean, if he's eligible, he is the one. Like he
would be #2.
Yeah.
And
right there.
And it's kind of scary if you're an SEC fan, because when I look at this list, other than Arch and possibly Trinidad and Gunnar Stockton, I guess, I see a whole lot of names on here that really frighten me, which means there's a dearth of quarterback talent in the SEC. They've got Gunnar Stockton at Georgia, of course, at #3. I would argue that he probably would move up to #2, depending on what happens to Chambliss for sure, which makes it even more evident that Arch is head and shoulders above everyone in this league, which means, the Horns, we're going for broke this next season, brother. It's not the right time to be an Arkansas Razorback or anyone else in the SEC.
I really do feel like I noticed what it looks like Sam Levitt's #4 at LSU.
Yeah.
That feels like it's going to work to me.
I think so.
I think, he battled some injury and some other stuff at Arizona State this year. But I mean, really splashed onto the scene. Granted, it helped having Scattaboo, but the year before. But Lane Kiffin, I can see a lot of Jackson Dart in Sam Levitt, and I can see that working.
You got some names here, some of which I have not heard of before. Of course, the new quarterbacks at Auburn, at Byron Brown. Lenore Sellers is returning. They have him ranked at 6 there at South Carolina. Marcel Reed comes in at number 7. Look, of all the names on here, I would definitely consider Marcel to be in the top 5, but they've got him listed here at number 7. John Mateer at Oklahoma comes in at number 8. Kenny Minchie at Kentucky is number 9, and then they ended their rankings here at number 10 with new Alabama quarterback Keelan Russell. So
I actually read the article. I've got the rest are Camario Taylor at Mississippi State, number 11. Austin Simmons, who lost the job to Trinidad Chambliss last year, has transferred to Missouri. He comes in at number 12. Aaron Philo comes in, or Philo, I'm not sure, at 13 for Florida. A transfer from Georgia Tech. George McIntyre of Tennessee is number 14. Number 15, KJ Jackson at Arkansas. Number 16, Jared Curtis at Vanderbilt. That'll be interesting because Curtis is that 5-star that flipped from Georgia to Vanderbilt. Right. So curious to see they got the 5-star number 16. I was shocked that Arkansas's quarterback wasn't 16 or maybe even 17, even though there's only 16 teams.
Speaking of Vanderbilt and quarterback, did you see the workout that Diego Pavia had at the combine last week?
I did not.
I mean, he did okay. And this, is a warning out there to be careful what you bookmark on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. 80% of what you see on that site is not true. So
yeah,
there was a tweet put out by someone that said, the official measurements for Diego Pavia 5'6" at the NFL Combine. Quickly, the comment said, no, it's officially 5'9", 5'10", which is a usable NFL quarterback. So basically, they're going and they're saying it's that debate of, is he even a quarterback, an NFL type quarterback, based on his physical traits?
Right.
And it was just kind of funny watching it go back and forth. But then when you watch him throw, I mean, he wasn't the most accurate. What I saw, but I don't know. There's a lot of baggage there. If I'm an NFL, and I've probably said this before, based on his postseason reactions and the Heisman and all that kind of stuff, I don't know that I would want him in my locker room. But
yeah,
there are some big believers in Diego. But I don't know if it's worth the trouble, But anyway, interesting to see all that come down. But again, just a warning out there. Always double check, triple check, quadruple check what you see on Twitter, because again, it's not always true.
For sure.
More often than not. Okay, we get to the final segment of our program here, which is what I like to call This Date in Sports History. I know that's pretty original, Matt, but kind of a light stuff here today on March the 4th. I could not find any events of note that I wanted to share, but we did have some big birthdays here that I wanted to celebrate. Posthumously, of course, born in 1888 on this date, 1888, the birthday of Newt Rockne, the legendary Hall of Fame coach at Notre Dame. He, of course, passed away in 1931. So Newt's coming up on 100 years of being not with us here, but today is his birthday. I haven't done the math yet to see how old that would make him today, but he died in 1931. So,
all right.
Legendary
95
coach.
years old.
Yes, the legendary
about
coach.
not 95 years old, about 95 years since he died. Yeah.
Yes. So do the math on that with his birthday. 1932, and again, my Cowboys fandom, pointed this out to me, but in 1932, on March the 4th, Gil Brandt, who was a Dallas Cowboys Hall of Fame executive, who he passed away actually in 2023. Gil Brandt, if you will remember, is credited with basically modernizing the entire NFL scouting apparatus. He was the first to use computers. He was the first to use he may have been instrumental in actually putting the combine together. There's some people say that would not have happened when it did without the leadership and the pushing the innovation of Gil Brandt. But for years long, pretty much the years coinciding with Tom Landry, he was basically the Cowboys vice president of player personnel over all the scouting and things of that nature. That 29-year stretch of Landry, those 20 straight winning seasons, Gil Brandt was the one who was providing the players for that. So
Yeah.
he was born on this date in 1932. You remember the name Ray Mancini?
Oh, yes. I do remember that name.
The WBA light heavyweight champ from 1982 through 84. He turned 65 today. He was born on March the 4th in 1961. Then I know you know this guy. He turns 36 today. March the 4th, 1990, the world was introduced to one and only Draymond Green.
One and only, thank goodness.
I was going to say, what are your thoughts on Draymond? Of course, he's won 4 rings at Golden State. And he's riding the coattails of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, but he is. I would say you either love or hate Draymond, but I don't know if there's a whole lot of love on that. You can't find a whole lot of people that are a fan of Draymond Green.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, look, there's certain guys that when they're with the right pieces, it works. I'm going to compare him to somebody, and please note, I am not saying by any means he is as talented in his sport as this guy was in his sport. But do you remember when Randy Moss went to the Patriots and he was surrounded by a culture and other players, and it just shined? Draymond, when he was surrounded by Steph and Iggy and Klay, and there was enough of a culture there to kind of rein him in. This was a dude that was a 6'9" guy who could run the point guard for you and get a triple-double. But man, guys are getting older. Clay's gone now. Iggy's gone now. The culture's kind of changed there. And now he just looks like an angry old man sometimes. But when he was in the right circumstance, very, very high level player.
Reminds me of the slot that he sort of fits into in a team, and you'll remember these guys. Someone like Charles Oakley, or to a very lesser extent, or Green to a lesser extent, of Bill Laimbeer. Guys who if you put them in the right situation and on the right team, surrounded by the right players, they can help you win championships.
Yep.
But my gosh, the only ones who are going to love them are the fans of your team, because they just find ways to get under your skin. And based on what you've seen the last few years, I don't know that there's even a whole lot of Golden State fans that really care about Draymond anymore. But
yeah.
Anyway, today is his birthday as he turns 36. So happy birthday to Draymond Green. Final word of the day here as we get ready to close up this episode of From the Press Box comes from Philippians 4, verse 6. And it says this: don't worry about anything, but in everything, through prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Folks, instead of carrying around the weight of worry today, hand it to the one who can actually handle it. Pray about everything, and again, trust God with the rest. Well, he's Matt, and I'm David, and we thank all of you out there for listening once again. If you're in East Texas or beyond, we really do appreciate you supporting us. Have a wonderful Wednesday, everybody, and we'll be back tomorrow for another edition of From the Press Box on the Right Team podcast. Until then, as always, keep writing your story.